So here we're standing in a field of soybeans. These beans were planted around April 20th, approximately. So here where we're at, these have been out here for around 4 months. They're getting close to their maturity stages. So if you look down into these plants, you can see that they're starting to set their pods. Most of these are very small pods left at this point, but all these small pods beginning on the plants, and you can see flowers all over them. A few bigger pods starting in here, but these plants within a couple weeks will be very loaded with larger pods. In these soybean plants, as you can tell, these are relatively short for soybeans. Commonly, soybeans will grow a lot taller. Even in this field, I've seen soybeans shoulder tall on me. But the problem with that, when beans get too tall, is it takes more moisture for them to come to maturity and to support all the pods that they put on. So we would rather the beans stay a little bit shorter. And so in this particular field, we planted a variety in our seed selection that was a little shorter variety. It was one that matured a little bit faster. And also we went in with a chemical to kill the weeds that was a little bit abrasive to the beans. And we did that intentionally so that it would kind of stunt the beans. And at this point, they've fully recovered from that. So there's no sign of damage, and yet the plants are a little bit stunted. So that's exactly the way we like to see them, where they're about 18 to 20 inches tall, but they're a really strong bushy plant with a lot of branches. If they would have got super tall, they would not have branched out well. Instead of just been one tall plant without a lot of bush. So the way this is, it can handle a drought stress, it can handle a storm, a lot of other things like that. It can handle a lot better. Let's look at this plant right here. If we can pull it up here, we might be able to see some roots on this soybean. One of the special things about soybeans, being a legume, it doesn't need additional nitrogen applied for the crop to be able to grow. Whereas if this was a corn crop, we would have to add all the nitrogen that that plant was going to need for the process of its growth. This being a bean plant, which is a legume, has the ability to pull nitrogen from the vapor format out of the air and make it into a usable format for the plant. So if you look into the roots of this plant, we have what we call these nodules, and most of these have gotten knocked off with the dirt. But you see a few right there, these little round balls that just kind of form on the sides of the root. There's a lot around there. As you get up closer into there, you just see a lot more on it. All those little round balls. Here's a couple I pulled off. And so if you look at these round balls, when you smash them, it has that brown slimy stuff inside, which is practically just a nitrogen factory, where it is pulling nitrogen from the vapor format out of the air and creating that into a soluble format that the plant can use. The other benefit of that and the way that the nitrogen is utilized by the beans is it's not all going to be used up in the plant, but rather the plant is going to be using it for the process of growth. But then when the plant reaches maturity and decomposes, both the nitrogen in the protein format that's in the leaves of the plant and also the excess that is in these round nodules on the roots is going to go back into the soil. And so if we plant a corn crop or a wheat crop following this bean crop, we'll have that nitrogen left in the soil. So we'll have to add less nitrogen for the next crop. So that's a real benefit out of beans. The leaves and the decomposition from the plants is one of the best things for the soil. Bean plants decompose very, very quickly. If you look at this soil down here below the beans, you can see a lot of wheat stubble. But last year there was an entire soybean crop in here, and all you can see is just a few stems laying around. Everything else is completely decomposed and gone back into the soil. And so this particular dirt has not been tilled in almost 10 years because it has been no-tilled every year. And the longer we no-till this soil, the better moisture holding capacity we have from it. There's a place to till, there's a place to work ground, but in this type of soil, we're finding a lot better soil health after years of no-till. And so you can look at this soil and the moisture content it holds and just the structure of the soil is so much stronger than if it were tilled up and broken and destroyed every year. The amount of roots, the amount of life, the biology, the earthworms in the soil, every year that we no-till, we see a lot more strength in that. So soybeans are playing a very important role in that crop rotation and the overall soil health of this field.